And so it adds a zero. So it went from 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000. This one, 10,000 to 100,000.
Bitcoin is one of the most popular and controversial cryptocurrencies in the world. Some people believe that it is the future of money, while others believe that it is a bubble that is about to burst. But what is the truth about Bitcoin? In this video, we will explore Bitcoin's future and try to answer the question of whether it will reach $1 million. We will look at the factors that could drive up the price of Bitcoin, as well as the factors that could drive it down. We will also talk to some experts in the field to get their insights on Bitcoin's future. Watch this video to learn more about Bitcoin's future and to find out whether you think it will reach $1 million.
Gets cut in half of them are out of business, unless the price rises. And actually, what's happened in every previous halving, the price doubled. And then it went higher from there because people got FOMO and levered up, but the price actually doubled. So that's why I say if the Tim Peterson Metcalfe's model is 50K, well, it's like 52 or 50, let's just use 50. If that's 50 and the halving occurs next April, that doubles the fair value to 100, and we have to migrate to 100. Well, then the next halving, right? Every halving up to this point has 10x'd the total value of the network. And so it adds a zero. So it went from 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000. This one, 10,000 to 100,000. The next one would be 100,000 to $1 million. That's a big number. Now, at some point, we'll change to Satoshis and we won't talk about $1 million. We'll talk about smaller amounts. But I do think it's an interesting thing. The thing that I still come back to on security, it's the genius of the code, which is the moment anyone does a 51% attack, the value disappears. So what you just stole, what you spent all that money on. Now, to your point, if I've spent billions to run the risk that the day after I do it, it goes to zero and I've stolen nothing of value, versus if I have to spend 10 grand, I might try that. And that's probably an extreme number, but if the price of compute keeps falling, your ability to try the 51% attack, to your point, does become doable for some actors. But I believe, and it's my belief, the moment someone did that, the moment one block was wrong, it's done. And
don't you think there'll be lots of even nation states?
No incentive to steal.
Well, what if your incentive was just that you wanted to see Bitcoin destroyed? Or like, let's envision a future.
That's a different incentive.
Let's envision a future though, where there's a deep and liquid derivatives market, for instance, on CME, and you just short Bitcoin. So you perform a 51% attack, destroy people's confidence in it, and then just short.
You know what? That sounds like a great James Bond movie, right? The guy that was short the airplanes, then he blew up the airplane. Okay.
It like a lot of this depends on if Bitcoin is successful to the degree that we talk about, and I hope that it will be as well. You would imagine incumbents will be even less pleased with it than it is today, namely the US, and it depends on the social sentiment, right? So the James Bond film that is my personal favorite, by the way. I know people at me about this, but Casino Royale, I think, is my favorite James Bond movie. And the terrorist in that movie, Le Chiffre, he goes short some airline stock and then plans a terrorism attack.
Yes.
Like that would be the most obvious thing in the world, right? You'd go immediately to jail, and that would be. But that would be, you could say that, well, if you perform a 51% attack on Bitcoin, that's market manipulation. If you've gone short, and that's illegal. But George Soros did something, again, a little dissimilar. People have very different worldviews around this.
Yeah, but remember, George controls everything, and he's listening to us. So I've criticized George on occasion.
There's a Wikipedia page on this. It's Black Wednesday, right? He did something that he sold the pound short. He just broke the back of, I forget.
Broke the Bank of England.
Yeah, broke the Bank of England.
So
yeah. So
all right, I'm gonna leave you with one thing.
I know we've got to hop.
No, I'm going to leave you with this. It's making the rounds. And you and I have talked about this, that, when I first got into this in 2013, I Googled it. And one of the things that comes up when you type in Satoshi Nakamoto is Intelligence Central. Because Nakamoto is the surname of families in the central provinces of China.
Yeah.
Of Japan. And Satoshi means intelligence. I'm like, that's way too close to CIA, NSA. Well, now this week, this new thing's going around. Tatsuki Okamoto, the director of cryptography at NTT, is cited in a paper written in 1996 by the NSA talking about creating a mine through electronic cash. Just something to think about for a while. So, to your point, if your goal were to destroy, and look, what the thing that got me nervous about that was, wait a second, what if there's a back door, and what if the whole point was to take this rapidly failing currency, the dollar, and get everybody to convert it into this really cool thing that we control? And now this guy's named Tatsuki Okamoto. I mean, really? That's interesting. So. Yeah.
Look, and I'll just end this by saying I know people get really upset about this stuff. I also have been within the realm of, I've been in crypto for 6 years now, and I do get frustrated. It's impossible not to when you've explained the same line of reasoning to people that have unintelligent attacks. I think this you can say is really coming from a place of like, I really have a vested interest in wanting this problem to get solved. I'm not attacking Bitcoin here. But I think it's important to look, guys, if we can't question stuff, what are we doing here? So
dialogue and debate in search of truth.
So
is all there is, Mike. The idea that you can't have dialogue and debate is insane. And the fact that you could say something that someone might disagree with and say, well, then you're dead to me. Really? It's that simple? Come on. This is the conversation we have to have. We have to have.
And the last thing, just like the people who say the transactions are going to go up, so if you look at a chart, I couldn't find one in time, but transactions have been steady to down for a really long time. And the meme of HODL is not good for transactions. If you have a currency that you are look, I've had my Bitcoin for a while. I'll like buy more every now and again, and then it just sits there. It doesn't move. I'm not generating any transaction value for the network.
The maxis have this problem, and you know who I'm talking to. The maxis have this problem. If you really believe that the only use of Bitcoin is HODL, and put it on a thumb drive and bury it in your backyard, we're done. We can all go home and do other stuff. We have that.
I agree.
It's called gold, and gold is better because it doesn't deteriorate when you bury it in the ground, whereas your hard drive will. So that's not the only use case of the greatest money ever invented in the history of mankind. I believe this is the future of money. A Scientific American put it on the cover 3 years ago. So this is real, and it is better technology. And look, 2024 hasn't even happened yet. 54, 68, 82, 96, 2010, 2024. This evolution of computing power is coming. It's not that it already happened. And I had like the most fun, as much as I love this, is the best hour of my week, as much as I love this, I had the best experience of my podcasting career last night. I got to talk to Tim Draper for an hour. I mean, this consistently is, I said, it is the best hour of my week, but I'm a huge Tim Draper fanboy. I've been invested with him for 30 years. I think he's a seer. I mean, he's just one of the great investors of all time. And I got to hear he's a third generation, and his kids are fourth generation venture capitalists. And, his grandfather was General Draper, who literally did the market